the heart of Africa, the Pride Lands flourished under the wise rule of King Simba, a noble lion distinguished by his magnificent jet-black mane. Peace reigned, and life thrived. But a shadow was about to fall. From the darkest corners of the savannah, a mysterious and powerful lion named Shadowmane emerged, commanding a legion of shadow creatures. His goal was singular: to seize the throne. Simba, ever the brave king, confronted the usurper. The clash was fierce, but Shadowmane's dark power was overwhelming. Defeated and wounded, Simba was forced to retreat. He then learned of the ancient secrets behind the shadow forces and knew he could unfight this battle alone. Seeking out ancient allies, Simba prepared for one final stand. Leading a coalition of the Pride Land's bravest, Simba launched The final battle was epic, a whirlwind of light against dark. In the end, Simba's courage and light prevailed, vanquishing Shadowmane and his shadowy army. The Pride Lands were safe once more, bathed in the tranquil light of a new dawn. In the heart of Africa, the Pride Lands thrived under the wise rule of Simba, a noble king with a magnificent black mane. His reign brought peace and prosperity, a golden age for all creatures. But a new darkness was gathering on the horizon. A mysterious and powerful lion, Shadowmane, emerged from the forgotten corners of the land, leading a legion of shadow creatures. His goal was simple: to seize the throne. Simba, ever the protector, confronted Shadowmane in a fierce battle, but the challenger's dark power was overwhelming. Defeated, Simba retreated, forced to uncover the secrets of this shadow magic. He sought out ancient allies, spirits of the past, to forge a new strength. With his friends by his side, Simba launched a final, desperate counterattack. In an epic showdown, light clashed with darkness, and Simba's courage shone bright. He vanquished Shadowmane, restoring peace and proving that true kingship comes from the heart. When Simba defeated Scar and ascended Pride Rock, it felt like a definitive happy ending. The rains returned, the herds came back, and the circle of life was restored. Simba, with Nala by his side, ruled with the wisdom and kindness he learned from his father, Mufasa. They soon welcomed their firstborn, a curious and spirited cub named Kopa. For a time, everything was perfect. The kingdom was at peace, and Simba believed he had finally put the ghost of his uncle to rest. But evil has a way of leaving behind deep roots. Before his demise, Scar was not just a lazy, power-hungry lion. He was a master manipulator, and he had followers. The most loyal among them was a lioness named Zero, fiercely devoted to Scar and his ideology. Zero believed he was the rightful king, unfairly usurped by Mufasa and then Simba. She saw Scar not as a tyrant, but as a strong leader who was misunderstood. When Simba cast Scar's followers out of the Pride Lands into the desolate outlands, Zero's resentment festered into a burning hatred. She wasn't just banished. She was on a mission. She would avenge Scar and restore his lineage to the throne, no matter the cost. It was during this fragile peace that tragedy struck the royal family. While the animated films don't show this, D-Book series, The Lion King, 6 New Adventures, introduces us to the devastating event. Zira, in a calculated act of revenge against Simba, attacked the young prince, Kopa. The details are heartbreaking, but the outcome was that Kopa was presumed dead. Imagine the pain for Simba and Nala. They had just rebuilt their lives and their kingdom, only to have their future, their son, viciously torn away from them by the lingering remnants of Scar's reign. This loss plunged the Pride Lands back into a state of mourning and fear. Simba's past was not buried. It was back, and it was thirsty for blood. The joy of his reign was shattered, replaced by grief and a heavy, protective vigilance that would define the rest of his rule. In the desolate, harsh landscape of the Outlands, Zero was raising a new generation of warriors, her own children, indoctrinated with one single purpose: to reclaim the Pride Lands. Her litter included the brutish and insecure Nuka, the conflicted and intelligent Vitani, and her youngest Kovu. But Kovu was special. He was not Scar's biological son, but he was his chosen heir. Scar had selected Kovu before his death, seeing in him the strength and spirit needed to carry on his legacy. Zira molded Kovu from birth, filling his head with stories of Scar's supposed greatness and Simba's treachery. Every lesson, every hunt, every moment was a preparation for the day he would kill Simba and take his place as king. Kovu's entire identity was built on a foundation of vengeance he didn't even understand. The birth of a new royal heir, Kiara, brought a glimmer of hope back to the Pride Lands. But for Simba, it brought a new wave of fear. Having already lost one child to his enemies, he became fiercely overprotective of his daughter. He saw danger in every shadow, a threat behind every rock. He forbade Kiara from venturing near the Outlands, desperate to shield her from the fate that befell her brother. But Kiara was her father's daughter, independent, and curious about the world beyond the borders of her home. This created a deep rift between them. Simba's trauma made him a controlling father, while Kiara yearned for freedom and understanding. It was this very curiosity that led to the fateful meeting between Kiara and Kovu. As cubs, they stumbled upon each other at the border of their lands. In that brief, innocent encounter, they didn't see enemies. They saw another cub, a potential friend. They played, they laughed, and for a moment, the deep-seated hatred of their families melted away. But their parents quickly intervened, pulling them apart. Zira saw the meeting as a potential opening for a plan, while Simba saw it as his worst nightmare coming true. He looked at Kovu and didn't see a young cub. He saw Scar. The resemblance, the connection, it was all too much. He forbid Kiara from ever seeing Kovu again, reinforcing the walls around his heart and his kingdom. Years passed, then both cubs grew into young adults, their lives shaped by the expectations placed upon them. Kiara was being trained to be a queen, though she questioned the rigid traditions of the monarchy. Kovu, now a powerful young lion, was ready for his mission. Zira's plan was set in motion. She orchestrated a wildfire during Kiara's first solo hunt, allowing Kovu to rescue her. By the ancient laws of the Pride Lands, Simba was honor-bound to repay this debt. With great reluctance, he allowed Kovu into the Pride Lands on a trial basis. His every instinct screamed that it was a trap, but he was bound by honor. Living among the Pride Landers was a culture shock for Kovu. He had been raised on scarcity and hatred, but here he saw community, abundance, and joy. Most importantly, he began spending time with Kiara. She showed him a world beyond fighting and revenge. She taught him how to have fun, how to laugh, and how to feel love. Through her, he started to see the truth. Simba wasn't the monster Zira described. The Pride Lands weren't a stolen kingdom, but a thriving home. The teachings of his mother began to crumble as a new feeling. A genuine affection for Kiara began to grow in his heart. He was torn between his ingrained mission and his growing conscience. Simba watched Kovu with suspicion, seeing Scar in his every move. But he also saw something else. He saw the way Kiara looked at Kovu, and he saw the conflict within the young lion. It reminded him of his own journey, of running from his past and finding his way back. Rafiki, the wise mandrill, pushed them together, reminding them of the wisdom of Mufasa, who knew that love could bridge any divide. Slowly, painstakingly, Simba started to let his guard down. He began to see Kovu not as Scar's heir, but as an individual capable of choosing his own path. He even started to teach Kovu about the true meaning of the circle of life, just as his own father had taught him. But Zira would not let her plan fail. Just as Kovu was about to confess his original mission to Simba, she ambushed them. She framed Kovu, making it look like he had led Simba into a trap. In the ensuing chaos, Zira's son Nuka was tragically killed, and Zira blamed Kovu, scarring him in a cruel echo of his namesake. The trap worked perfectly. Simba, his worst fears seemingly confirmed, exiled Kovu without a second thought. The fragile trust that had been built was shattered. Kiara was devastated, believing in Kovu's innocence and seeing her father repeating the very cycle of prejudice he fought against. In a brave act of defiance, Kiara abandoned her home to find Kovu. She found him alone, an outcast from both prides. Together, they realized that the feud between their families would destroy them all if it continued. They decided to return, not as conquerors or supplicants, but as a united front to stop the war. They arrived back at Pride Rock to find the two prides locked in a brutal battle. Zira and Simba were about to face off when Kiara and Kovu leaped between them. Kiara delivered a powerful speech, echoing the wisdom her father had forgotten. "We are one." Her words resonated with the lionesses of both sides. Vitanizira's own daughter was the first to cross over, realizing the futility of the endless violence. Zira, blinded by her obsession, refused to yield. In a final, desperate attempt to strike down Simba, she lunged, but Kiara intercepted her, and both tumbled over a cliff edge. Kiara managed to find a foothold, but Zira slipped, refusing Kiara's help and falling to her death in the raging river below. Her demise marked the true end of Scar's legacy of hate. With the war over, Simba finally looked at Kovu and saw not an enemy, but a son. He welcomed the former Outlanders back into the Pride, uniting the two families at last. The circle was no longer broken. Through love, forgiveness, and the courage of the next generation, the Pride lands were finally, truly healed. Simba learned that true strength isn't about controlling the world around you, but about having the courage to let go of fear and trust in the power of unity. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey back to the Pridelands. It's a powerful reminder that legacies now reigns as a respected and beloved king. The lands are healing, the herds have returned, and on the surface, everything seems perfect. But beneath the calm facade, Simba is a ruler haunted by his past. The memory of his father's tragic fall, the chilling sight of the wildebeest stampede, and the manipulative whispers of his uncle Scar replay in his mind. He's a king, yes, but he's also a survivor, forever marked by the trauma that shaped his youth. Every decision is weighed against the fear of history repeating itself. Every shadow holds the potential for a new threat. He sees his father's ghosts, not just in the stars, but in his own reflection. A constant reminder of a legacy he feels he can never truly live up to. This internal struggle, this deep-seated fear, makes him overprotective, especially when it comes to his adventurous and headstrong daughter, Kiara. Then, from the desolate, termite-infested Outlands, a forgotten chapter of Scar's reign, a faction of lionesses, fiercely loyal to their fallen leader, steps out of the shadows. These are the outsiders, exiled by Simba for their unwavering devotion to Scar's dark ideology. Their leader is Zira, a lioness whose fanaticism is matched only by her thirst for vengeance. To her, Simba is a usurper, a murderer who stole the throne from its rightful heir. And she has spent years grooming that heir. His name is Kovu. Chosen by Scar himself, Kovu has been raised on a diet of hatred and resentment. Every lesson, every hunt, every lullaby from Zira is designed for one purpose: to mold him into a living weapon, an instrument of revenge destined to infiltrate the Pride lands, get close to the king, and finish what Scar started. The stage is set for a new conflict, one born from the ashes of the old. Zira's plan is put into motion with chilling precision. During one of Kiara's rebellious excursions near the Outlands, a chance fire is set, trapping the young princess, and just as planned, Kovu appears, the valiant hero, saving her from the flames. This act of calculated bravery earns him a reluctant audience with Simba. Bound by the laws of honor and gratitude, Simba cannot turn away the lion who saved his daughter. He allows Kovu to join the Pride, but only on a trial basis, his distrust and suspicion barely concealed. Kovu is now inside the gates, a wolf in sheep's clothing, his mission clear: gain Simba's trust and find the perfect moment to strike. The Pride lands have unknowingly welcomed the ghost of Scar back into their midst, and Simba's greatest fears are beginning to take shape. Life within the Pride lands, however, is not what Kovu was trained to expect. The constant propaganda of Zira painted Simba's kingdom as a place of weakness and decadence. But what he finds is a community built on respect, love, and unity. And at the heart of it all is Kiara. Her open-heartedness, her belief in the good of others, and her simple, joyful view of the world directly challenge the lifetime of hatred ingrained in him. She doesn't see a killer. She sees Kovu. As they spend more time together, his mission becomes clouded. He teaches her how to hunt like an outsider, and she shows him how to have fun, to laugh, to see the stars, not as silent judges, but as a beautiful, twinkling canopy. A genuine bond forms, evolving into love. This unexpected connection throws Kovu's entire world into chaos. His loyalty is now split between Zira's venomous lullaby and the melody of Kiara's heart. Meanwhile, Simba is wrestling with his own demons. Watching Kovu and Kiara together is like watching a nightmare unfold. In Kovu, he sees the chilling reflection of Scar, the same green eyes, the same cunning intelligence. Every gesture, every word from the young lion is scrutinized, filtered through the lens of his past trauma. The wise counsel of Nala and the playful antics of Timon and Pumbaa urge him to give Kovu a chance, to see the individual beyond the legacy. But the ghost of his father's betrayal is a powerful one. He remembers being a trusting cub himself, a trust that led to Mufasa's death. How can he risk his daughter, his pride, and his kingdom on the hope that this lion, handpicked by his greatest enemy, can truly change? This internal conflict tears Simba apart, leaving him isolated in his own palace, a king paralyzed by fear and unable to trust his own judgment. The future of the Pride Lands hangs on whether he can overcome the shadows of his past. Just as Simba begins to tentatively let his guard down, Zira decides the time for subtlety is over. She springs her trap, luring Simba into a deadly ambush in a rocky gorge, eerily reminiscent of the one where Mufasa died. She and her outsiders attack. They are a starved, desperate, and vicious force. Simba, though a powerful fighter, is outnumbered. He's cornered, fighting for his life against a sea of claws and teeth. In the chaos, Zira's son Nuka, desperate to prove his worth, tries to take down Simba himself, but is tragically killed by falling logs. Zira, consumed by grief and rage, immediately blames Kovu, who had been present but refused to participate in the ambush. She viciously strikes him, scarring his face in the same manner as Scar, a permanent mark of his supposed betrayal. Seeing this, Simba's worst fears are confirmed. He believes Kovu led him into the trap, without listening to any explanation. Kobo, casting him out just as he had cast out the other outsiders years ago. The bridge between the prides has been burned, and war is now inevitable. With all pretense of peace shattered, Zira launches her final, all-out assault on the Pride Lands. The two prides clash in a torrential downpour, a brutal and desperate battle fueled by generations of hatred. It's a mirror image of the fight between Simba and Scar, a violent continuation of the same old war. Lions who should be brothers and sisters are tearing each other apart. At the height of the battle, just as Zira is about to make her move on Simba, Kiara and Kovu leap between them. They stand together, a united front against the senseless violence. Kiara delivers a powerful plea, echoing her father's own lessons. We are one. She makes them all see that there is no difference between them, that their fighting is destroying the very land they claim to love. Her words resonate with some of the outsiders, who begin to question their loyalty to Zira's destructive crusade. Kovu, standing firmly by Kiara's side, officially renounces Scar's legacy and chooses his place with the pride that showed him love, not the one that taught him to hate. This is the ultimate tipping point, witnessing Kovu's defiance and seeing her warriors abandon her. Zira is left isolated in her fury. In a final, desperate lunge at Simba, she is intercepted by Kiara. The two lionesses tumble over a cliff edge, dangling precariously above a raging river below. Kiara offers her paw, a chance at redemption. But Zira, unable to let go of her hatred, refuses. She slips, falling to her demise, a final, tragic victim of her own bitterness. The cycle of vengeance dies with her. In the aftermath, the rain subsides, and a new sun rises over the Pride Lands. The outsiders are welcomed back, not as enemies, but as family. The two prides merge, finally becoming one. In this moment, Simba's transformation is complete. By choosing to trust his daughter and accept Kovu, he finally breaks free from the shadow of Mufasa and the ghost of Scar. He is no longer defined by the trauma of his past or the fear of its repetition. He stands not as a victim, but as a wise and compassionate king in his own right, one who learned that true strength lies not in vengeance, but in forgiveness and unity. He honors his father's legacy, not by living in fear of repeating it, but by forging a new, brighter future for all. The circle of life is not just about birth and death. It's about learning, healing, and moving forward together. And that's the powerful story of how the Pride Lands finally healed. It's a testament to the idea that love can be stronger than hate, and that the next generation has the power to break the cycles of the past. What do you guys think? Is Simba's pride an underrated gem? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Thanks so much for watching, and don't forget to like and subscribe for more deep dives into your favorite stories. See you next time.